9.5 tier list. We're doing this tier list before the patch that hits Tuesday. The patch will be, what is it, 9.5.1 or something? Like, it's the bonus patch, whatever. We're going to guesstimate bonus patch stuff. So I guess, I'm not even typing on here. Screw that. We're guesstimating in the bonus patch stuff because hunters are getting a little nerf, warriors are getting a little buff, and towers getting nerfed. Towers shit doesn't matter. So Achilles. I haven't seen Achilles really doing much of anything as a solo lane. I don't know if you guys have. I haven't seen him more in the support role and actually kind of working as a support role if you aren't overstacked on physical. I kind of am going to throw him into A with expectation that in the next patch, he'll do a little bit better because they're buffing Glad Shield, they're buffing Breastplate. He'll do a little bit better. Definitely not bad, but he saw the fall off with the rest of the Warriors. Agni is performing just fine. Oh, let me cover this too. So I have everything labeled a little bit different than I usually do. I'm going to try to stick with this as my core labels. So SS is top picks and bans. It's literally the gods that are banned every game, and if they're not, you want to pick them. S plus is priority picks that usually get through. Ones that, you know, they're banned occasionally, but not usually. Consistently most important picks on a team. So that's if they are picked, they're the core ones that everyone's worried about and usually perform, you know, above everybody else. A tier is very good picks that complement a team or fill roles. So it's just your standard gods, like that base level of god. B plus is your average picks. They're picked to fill roles that are needed for the team comp or to specifically counter the enemy team. And that's the only time they're good. B tier is very situational, fills hyper niche gaps. They're usually pretty bad unless something very specific happens or you build a team comp specifically around it. And then C tier is your poo-poo picks. Horrible. Why are you playing them? I don't even know how many C tier we'll have. This might be, I'm trying to think. I think this might be the least low tier gods we've ever had in a meta at one time. I don't know. All right, AMC is just pumping. He's banned a lot, but he gets through more often than he's banned in my games, at least. It's usually if somebody's had a bad game against AMC recently, they ban him, and if not, he gets through. AMC is flex pick between mid, between solo, between ADCs, performing really well as, you know, either full auto attack type build or ability build. Ability build is usually more standard in the mid and solo lane. Solid pick because of hunters, basically. Apwash actually moved up the ranks. Apwash performing in the solo lane a little bit better. I even like Apwash in mid. He can kind of clear once he gets a little bit online. Great with the stacking items that are being built. Solid mage. Hard to kill because everybody's tankier. All those type of gods are doing better, performing better. Amma, banned most games right now. Probably the best warrior solo lane in the game. Your Golden Blade builds also works in the jungle, so flex pick potential. I'd say if you are playing Amaterasu correctly, you want to pick or ban it. Now, a lot of people play Amma bad. Like, they straight up, they just play Amma bad. I don't know how. I don't know what they're doing wrong. Play Amma a few games in casuals before you take it in the ranked, and then you should just pump and stomp everybody. Honor is performing really well, but I'm going to leave him in that average bracket. He's an ADC. This might be actually unfair. I kind of want to add an A plus or an A plus bracket for something like Honor, because Honor is going to outperform a couple of the other hunters, but he's not a priority pick by any means. Do we add an A plus tier? I think maybe I have to use this B tier a little bit more. I think I'm going to leave A tier. I think I'll leave this. All right, we'll leave this and we'll just use B tier more often. Anubis, very situational. You'd have to build a team comp around him, but you could. Ao Kwang, not a terrible pick right now. Actually, I want to move Achilles. I'm gonna move Achilles down to B plus for now for this tier list. Maybe in bonus patch we see him doing better, but he's not gonna be clearing much better. So I'm not sold on that. Ao Kwang has horrible jungle clear, but does better than Thanatos right now. So in terms of execution gods that you're looking at in the jungle, Ao Kwang's a little bit ahead of, say, Achilles or Thanatos, but they're both B plus. Their jungle clear is bad. They take forever to get online. They can work, but there's way better picks and not something you want to priority pick. Afro's doing way better right now. Hard to kill. Does okay in the mid lane. Does okay in the solo lane. Healing's the same. It's more the fact that your early game is kind of free. Apollo, solid pick right now. Use your global ult. If you're using the global ult consistently, if you're in this duo lane, ultimate on cooldown and fight over and over again, you will get a fat lead and you will control the whole game. That's all you have to do. That's it. And he is just great otherwise with the builds, with crit builds, with every single version of the crit builds. Great pick right now. Arachne is performing really well in the jungle. Auto attack, crit builds, they're getting nerfed in the bonus patch. It's going to be a slight hit, but all the Kins builds are still going to work, and Golden Blade isn't getting nerfed at all, and I think Golden Blade makes jungling way easier. So the Golden Blade core junglers are going to be, up here. They're in that S+. Arachne, to me, for ranked and casuals, is a mass priority pick. Arachne's had the highest win rate over Smite in the last, 10 years, and I can't see that changing anytime soon because of Golden Blade being core to clearing right now. Ares performing just fine. Burning beads is really important. Everyone's tankier right now, so the whole just blow somebody up without them reacting doesn't really work. You want to be burning beads and CC locking down people, and Ares does that fairly well while also being tankier in this meta, so he can run around and not just get killed himself. Artemis doing a little bit better, but I still think Artemis is just not worth playing. You're still playing a no mobility god that fully relies on your ultimate. If anyone's building Magi's Blessing or just WQing you with beads up, you don't win those trades. You have to have, perfect auto attacks, perfect position the whole game. Makes it a lower tier pick. RDO fell down a little bit. I think RDO's okay in the the sense of the whole game. If you're supporting or solo lane, whatever, I think it's okay, but it's not going to be a priority pick. You're going to get blown up by hunters, even when the builds change, even when builds get nerfed, whatever these slight nerfs go through. Guardians die. If you're an extended period of time type of Guardian, especially if you're playing it solo, like an RDO who wants to be in your face and use 19 abilities, you're not getting 19 abilities off. You're dead before you get all 3 abilities. So RDO's fallen down a little bit. Athena's still performing just fine in the support role. Haven't really seen Athena played in solo. Burning beads, once again, consistently burning beads. Athena just does it better. You have to think back to the gods that were really, really strong in season 1, 2, 3 of Smite, when everyone was kind of terrible and damage wasn't that high. So things like getting a beads burn and then coming back 20 seconds later and going on that target again is the only way you get consistent kills. It's like that again. So gods like Athena can do that. Prioritize them, play them, you'll do better. Atlas is still performing. Nowhere near as annoying now. At all. Since they removed the Jimmy from the game, the little scepter, that was the main thing that made Atlas just the worst in the world. He was still very strong outside of that, but with that, he was untouchable. That's gone. These other gods are doing better. The consistent lockdown is doing better. And Atlas is kind of just chilling in that A tier as a solid support. Awilix gonna fall down into an average pick. You fill it if you're looking to control knockups. If you want to be playing off the knockups you have on your team, or if you just want more knockup CC on your team comp. Your clear is okay. It's not as good as a lot of other gods, and it's not as good as it used to be. Your team fights are pretty strong because you can be in and out of the team fights multiple times now with those prolonged team fights. So Awilix is doing all right, just not as strong as before because you're not one-shotting. So moving down from that A tier to more of a true average pick, filling in or counter picking. Baba Yaga. I'm going to put Baba in S+. I'm going to be pretty true with this stuff. So Baba Yaga never gets banned, but is beast in this meta. Every time I've seen a Baba Yaga in ranked, it's performed. You get free stacks before everybody else. A lot of people are going into the what's it called? What's the staff called? My brain's not working. Whatever the stacking staff is. Warlock staff. Thank you. Yeah. They're going into Warlock staff. Baba stacks before everybody else. So Baba has advantage. GG. Right then and there. Already ahead. On top of that, Baba has pretty good clear. And his clearing is equally with the other mages that are being played for the most part. And then hyper safety because you're tankier. She has a mass CC immune ultimate. She doesn't really get killed very easily. She is doing great in this meta. Bacchus, kind of a fill support type of role right now. He's all right, but you aren't blowing somebody up with that engagement like you were before last patch. So he's falling down a bit. Bakasura broken. Bakasura solo is stomping right now. Bakasura jungle is stomping right now. They're fixing the level 1 free invades Baka has in the patch on Tuesday. So it's going to make him less stupid broken, but he's still going to be very strong. He's still going to be able to go normal auto attack builds. Golden Blade is still going to be super strong, and he'll perform. Nothing's going to change. He's going to keep doing what he's doing. Baron Smeti, another top tier god. It's very weird. These two gods literally went from hyper low tier. Maybe Baron was creeping up into mid tier. Baka was doo-doo tier for I don't even know how long. Baka was trash. Baron was meh. They're back. They're at the top. Baron support is probably the best support and the easiest support for you to play in the game for ranked and casuals. Right now, you can play him in solo. Wouldn't really play him in mid, but you could. Bastet getting through a little bit more. See it banned a decent amount. Getting through a little bit more. I think in terms of ability junglers, one of the top. And because a lot of people are looking for something else to play, because all these Golden Blade junglers are being banned, Bastet kind of rises. Doesn't really get banned, gets through a good amount, at least in the games I've played. I've seen Bastet get through like 3 or 4 times. Player, she's doing good. Bellona, average, plays decently into the hunters because of the disarm, but then also just gets shattered by the other hunter that you're not disarming because every game has 2 to 3 hunters in it. Kabrakan, situational, semi-support, semi-jungle, can kind of play. You can one-shot late game, but so can everybody else. Your early and mid's okay. You have a lot of lockdown. That's what I really like about Kabrakan. I could see the argument for an A tier push in jungle, probably not support, probably not solo, because of the CC, because of the lockdown. You set up your team, you allow your hunters to get free autos, you do really, really well. Wait, Baka, Baron, and Amma are meta? Yeah, bro. Have you not been playing the last couple of weeks?
$400.
Oh, thanks, Spin, for the message, not for the 80 months. Camazotz is performing just fine in the jungle for an ability jungler, fairly safe, still can be played in the solo lane as well. Cerberus doing all right, more of a support in my eyes, less of a solo laner now. He just kind of exists. CERN, lower tiers. For ranked and casual, CERN is not good for ADC. It's not bad because ADCs are strong, but in terms of all the ADCs you can play in the game to make your life easier or have the characters almost play for you, CERN's not up there. So CERN's falling into B+. Chalk just dies late game. You can kind of play him for some kind of early game pressure, but he's pretty weak. I almost want to put him in C tier. It's Chalk's back to where he was. Chunga, I think Chunga's trash. I think Chunga's trash in the solo. I think Chunga's trash in the mid lane. I think Chunga does nothing. I think her healing is irrelevant. I think she dies way too quickly to the mass amount of damage that happens in the late game. So her close range proximity doesn't do as much as she does. Her CC is dope, but once you get in that late game aspect, that CC is irrelevant. She's one super, super hard, big CC. Even if it hits multiple people, they get beads, the hunters will just turn her. I think Chunga is one of the lower tier gods that would not play Chunga. Charybdis is still performing just fine. Not quite as, controlling in your ranked and casual games as she was. A lot of these other hunters are doing better. They're a little bit easier to get away with and play and just kind of do whatever the hell you want. But she's still really good. A tier. Chernobog, I could argue S+ or A tier, similar to the Apollo. Ulti on cooldowns, being a part of those team fights and rotating after a wave and getting a free fight and rotation that other people aren't taking puts your team in the advantage. So Chern's playing just fine. Chunga support slaps? Nah, not over everything else. Chunga doesn't do anything as a support. Chunga does nothing. You have low tier damage with hyper horrible CC. You're comparing, you're wanting Chunga to be a good support because of Nox and because of Baron. Chunga doesn't do what Nox or Baron do. Nox has consistent beads burning if you're hitting your combos, has the damage reduction on the ultimate, and has a decent amount of mobility, right? Baron, low mobility, but has spammable abilities that are on short cooldowns once you have CDR online. Hyper CC because nobody's ever going to beat the root. That's what makes Baron nuts as a support. And then you have sustain for your team that's on, a consistent timer with that 3. Then you go to Chunga. Chunga has a self CC immunity. That's not a support aspect. Has a damaging 1 that's going to be doing no damage. The 3 is baby back healing, like 20, especially because people are going to have anti-heal because there's no reason not to. And then you have a fat ultimate that's cool, but it's a long cooldown and it's not going to do enough. Chunga's bad. Chiron, S+. I think Chiron works in all 3 of the lanes, just, same way as AMC. Kind of play it across the board, be fairly safe, ability-based, auto-attack-based, whatever you want. Kronos is doing better than he was, that's for sure. Kronos fell off really hard this year, and then he's kind of right back up. See a lot of animosity builds coming out of the solo. Once you get animosity online, you out-trade everybody. Hunters with crit will beat you, obviously, if they hit more autos than you. But if you can hit as many autos as them, you can kind of trade. Kleena, getting nerfed again in the next patch. Gonna leave her an S+. She's still nuts because she works in solo and in the jungle really, really well. She's impossible to kill, especially if you build damage into like 1 or 2 defensive items. As a solo, never gonna die. In the jungle, you can go full damage. Late game, she's still one-shots, but she's getting nerfed. The nerfs are like 40 flat damage off of her like kit, total kit. So it'll affect it, but I don't think it's gonna be massive. Cthulhu, pretty poo-poo tier right now. I don't think I've seen Cthulhu played at all. I expect people to build anti-heal. Yeah, I do. Literally, I just did I'm bronze to master series. People build anti-heal more than I build anti-heal. That's what it is, Jordan. There's no S tier. There's no S tier. I mean, this could be S tier. Does that make you happy? You cry, baby? All right. So, anyway, Cthulhu. really, really low tier. If you need a Guardian to fill a magical damage gap when other things are already picked or banned, you might be able to get away with him, but you are just going to get absolutely railed by the hunters. In the next patch, with crit being nerfed a little bit and the items being buffed, maybe we see Cthulhu in that B tier. I almost want to put him in C tier, but I'll leave him in B for now because I have chalk there. Cucullin, he's doing all right in the solo lane for a warrior, but it's not good. It's not pretty. Actually, I'm probably going to drop him into B tier. I wouldn't consistently play that right now. Maybe with the change to Glad Shield, we'll see him play it again. You can hope if you're a warrior solo lane. I know a lot of you are. In the YouTube comments, you guys cry a lot. And you're really happy for the next patch because you might be great again. Maybe you get to come back and some Cucullin. Cupid is doing okay in this patch because hunters are OP. Seen it picked more lately than before. I think it's more the fact that you have that crippling ult. It's actually coming into play with the amount of time it takes to kill people, and then the crit on top of a stun combo is pretty nice. And I'm gonna put him down here. I'm gonna put him down here with Artemis because if I were to leave Cupid in A, I'd have to put Artemis in A. This is more fair. You're not gonna pick Cupid over most of the other hunters ever. Dodgy's falling off a little bit. Average pick. You need to pick it into team comps that don't have a ton of CC immunity on the ultimates. You're going to play for the beads burning, and you're going to play for the late game. You're early and mid game. You have that static, consistent damage, the build up, the bleeds. It's decent. It is nowhere near as good as these auto attack gods, and nowhere near as good as the Golden Blade Clear. So you're not going to compete as well with those. That's why you're not going to see Dodgy and A tier right now. Danza's performing just fine. The CC immune ults, the stun, the lockdown, the decent movement, the crits OP. Danza's doing good. Disco, I don't think I've seen much Disco played. Lower tier clear. You're going to decently clear, but the other hunters and mages that are being played in the mid are going to out clear you. Your safety is pretty meh. And if you ever get in an actual fight with a hunter, you're losing. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to blow up a hunter before they blow you up. Our Longshen and ranked casuals, massively underperforming. I've had it played against me where they W key me and they think that pressure is going to make a difference. It falls off mid game and you're worthless. In the jungle, even if you snowball, your late game can be completely turned around by a hunter because you're not going to outkill a hunter in 1v1. And then as a solo lane, you're just not playing Erlang. There's just no point. Everything else is better. So Erlang's going to be in B tier, more of a jungle right now to me, with going like a hyper kind of just auto attack build to try to carry your way through the early and mid and end the game a little bit earlier. ESET performing. Don't know if I put ESET in S tier quite yet. Support and mid. In mid, you have clear, where a lot of these other mages can't clear. And as a support, you are hyper annoying and mages are performing better because they aren't dying. So ESET in the A tier. Fafnir. I like Fafnir a lot right now. Almost want to put Fafnir up here in like S tier for ranked and casuals because it's easy to play outside of landing your skill shot, right? If you can land your one hammer, S tier. If you can't, don't play it. Like literally he would go from S to C tier if you aren't landing that one. The reason he's so good, you have the massive buffs for all the auto attack gods. You've got hunters being played in 2 to 3 lanes. You've got your junglers playing auto attack gods like Nemesis, Mercury, Arachne, Baka, all these gods that perform better when buffed with auto attacks with Fafnir too. So Fafnir, really, really good support right now. Fenrir, I played him once and he felt kind of weak. If you're playing him to initiate and burn beads, I think you're fine. If you're playing for the hard ability carry, it's nowhere near as good as it used to be. So he's going to be in that B plus tier. Freya, I think Freya is good and fine, but still, why would you play Freya over a hunter? Freya will not win the trade against a hunter. If anyone puts anti-heal on the Freya, never winning a trade with anybody that's going crit right now, not worth it. Ganesh, I think Ganesh is okay. His laning phase is all right. His team fights are all right. I think his ult has more presence right now because a lot of the time the ult was used and then kind of just blew up that one person that was around the ultimate. Now it's being used to just maintain that team fight. It kind of blocks off a lot of pathing. It blocks off a decent amount of the position that people want to take if you're using it correctly. So it's less of, I have this damage dealing thing where we can blow somebody up real quick, and more of, let me drop this in the middle of the team fight. We're still going to target this one person that's around it, but the other people can't get around and use their tankiness to kind of be where they want to be. Geb, I think Geb is nuts. I'd put Geb up there with like Athena. Just easy to play. Laning phase is super free for you in ranked to casuals. Team fights are free for you because of you get off multiple knockups. Your ultimate engages are super easy, and your shields are just going to change the whole pace of the game for your hunters or for whoever is diving. It's that easy. Anybody who's trying to auto attack crit and get in there and feel safe, the Geb will do that for them.
Hope you have a great Memorial weekend.
Thank you, Swamp. Appreciate you. Thank you for the resub. Gilgamesh, performing still. He's been nerfed 15 times. I think he needs 15 more. Jungle, fine. Solo, eh. I think he's just the one of the few kind of like hybridy initiation junglers that still just does too much damage. You can build a little tanky. You can do whatever the hell you want. And it's nuts. It works. It frags. Guan Yu, lower tier. I maybe play him in the jungle. Possibly with the changes coming, he's a little bit better. I don't really want to put him in B tier because when he is in a game, his ultimate and everything is still kind of relevant. And if he is tanky enough, with the change of Spectral coming, with the change of the breastplate coming, potentially he's going to be able to dive those hunters again. If that happens, I could see him performing in this meta where it's a longer, prolonged fights and he can get the heals off and kind of make a difference. Hachi, I think Hachi's really good. Better than Art, all of them, because you're safe. You're in this meta again where surviving can be the key, and Hachi survives. Hachi does it well. There's only one or two other hunters that does it better, and also has the attack stims and all that stuff to pair with the crit to just kill everybody. Hades, I still think Hades sucks. I don't know if I'm missing something. Somebody the other day said Hades is back in the meta or something. I still think Hades is doo-doo. I think I'm going to drop Hades in a C
DR
tier.
Pro status tipped $8.36. DR Pro status bought 8,000 gems from.
Thank you for using my link to buy gems. Everyone else, use the link to buy gems. Hades doesn't do anything. The best Hades players are going to, initiate perfectly. They're going to be annoying perfectly. That can happen. But for standard ranked and casual play, for people who've been playing Warriors for the past, 6 years? Hades isn't it. You don't do anything. You ultimate, people walk out of it. You ultimate, people beads and run away. You don't do enough, and you will still die, even with all that extra. You have mitigations and defenses now in Hades, all right? Because I still just kill Hades when he's sitting in it. You're kind of just a free target. Especially with gods like AMC and stuff getting through. They hit you with the ultimate. You have way less protections. You kind of just die. Hebo, drop down a tier in my eyes. Doesn't clear mid freely. Does not do well in the jungle because your clear is kind of weak and your fight potential in a lot of these gods is not that good. I think if you make it late game, you're still fine, but it's harder and it's a lot more rare. So you don't see much Hebo being played. Heimdall, I think Heimdall's still nuts. Putting Heimdall up in S tier because of the safety. Once again, that portal. Use your 3 correctly. If you don't use the 3 to always live, or in those, the small times when you're diving and chasing, using it then. If you don't know how to use the 3, just don't play Heimdall. If you aren't using that correctly, Heimdall's low tier. If you are using it correctly, Heimdall's up here. Hell, I think. Oh, what the heck? I still think Hell is kind of low. You can get away with it. You need to get to a grouping stage. If you get to the grouping stage, you can do your job. But it's not as strong. You still don't out heal all the late game healing damage and crit coming out of the hunters. The healing is solid. It's not quite enough. I don't know why you would play Hell over pretty much anything else. You'd have to build a team comp around it and have to play for really, really, really prolonged fights. Hera, I think Hera's all right. Your clear is decent in lane. You're fairly safe because you're tankier. You have a fat shield. These builds that are out that you can get even tankier, and then you're playing around your ultimate fully in the late game, which actually gives you a small chance to kill those hunters because of the knock-up and the damage and having that in their face. They usually don't react well. So Hera's actually one of the few mages I like right now. Hercules, I think Hercules is trash. I actually think Hercules is bad. You don't control the lane as well. Yes, if you're able to plug people in the tower, you get some kills. Cool, dope. That still won't win you the game. It won't win you the lane. And once you get past the mid game, you die. You're going to get onked. You're going to get hit by a Nem ult. You're going to get hit by an AMC ult. You do not dive well in this meta. You do not outkill people when you're diving into the backline. You just don't do anything. There's no reason to play Hercules at all. Horus. Everyone said Horus was nerfed, or not everybody. A bunch of people said Horus was nerfed because of the CC change to the knock-up and the stun combos, making them, like if you knock somebody up and then stun them, it was DR'd. Horus is doing fine as a support. Wouldn't touch it anywhere else. As a support, Horus is still doing fine. He'd probably be a little bit higher tier if the fact wasn't that everyone's playing physical gods. So a physical support does not become super, super common. So going to put him in A tier. I think Hou Yi is still really good, but I wouldn't quite put Hou Yi up in S tier. It's still a higher skill god for you to play. The kills are less common with the triple, super balances for that you get a random kill, and your clear is weak compared to a lot of these other hunters, and it makes your average hunter player playing a Hou Yi kind of just get stomped. So I wouldn't recommend it. Hun Bats, I think Hun Bats is great. I put Hun Bats in S tier as one of the few ability junglers still up in this level. You're one of the best clearing gods in the game in terms of jungling and jungle clear. You have the mass CC immunal or CC ultimate. You're gonna burn beads very, very consistently, and you're able to kind of dive and get in their face and stay there longer than you used to. Or on HUD bats, it was kind of like instant do and then out. Now it's like, let me take my time, let me get some autos off, let me look for re-engages, and that just goes well for HUD bats. Izanami, I'm gonna put Izanami in S tier. You free clear. A lot of you will win your game simply off of laning, and laning becomes easier when you clear the lane for free. That's what Izanami does. So Izanami's gonna sit up here in S tier. Janice, I'll put Janice in A tier. I don't think Janice is bad, but it's nowhere near as relevant as it used to be. Still takes you longer to clear the wave, so you aren't rotating around the map as much. Still a higher skill god where most people are not at that skill to use all the abilities correctly. And then the whole just spamming and running around the map is way less common, even with the global movement. So yes, the ultimate's gonna be relevant to getting to fights that you might not get to normally. That you can use to your advantage, but I don't think that's enough to bump him up into S tier because it's still a mage. S tier, bro? Nah. I've seen your Janice, bro. Your last Janice game's 0-7. Get out of here. Jingwei, best hunter in the game because you have bonus crit damage. Well, bonus damage on your autos makes your crits hit harder. So you out crit everybody. On top of that, you have crit earlier than everybody. On top of that, you're hyper safe because knockups don't fuck you up like they fuck everyone else up. On top of that, you have a CC immune ult and go over walls. So you are pretty much a hunter on crack right now with one of the best rotation abilities in the game by back into base. Jingwei's cracked. Play Jingwei. Be good at Jingwei if you're a hunter player. Jormungandr. I don't think Yorm does anything. I feel like the ultimate doesn't do anywhere near as much damage as you'd want it to do in this meta. Your laning phase might be okay, but definitely weaker. I don't think he's worthless because you can dive and disrupt the hunters in a team fight and allow for, you know, your jungler or anyone else to aggress into that team fight, but it's just not as much as it used to be. So gonna leave Yorm in B tier, not dropping down to C. Super situational. If you want a Guardian or magic damage out of the solo and that's what you're comfortable on, I could see it being picked. Kali is gonna go in the S tier. Auto attack build, Golden Blade. That's all you need to say. It's auto attack build, Golden Blade. You also have built-in pen into your kit. So late game, you destroy everybody. Doesn't matter if it's a tank or whoever. And auto attack build and Golden Blade are gonna allow you to get there before everybody else. Khepri, I think Khepri's nuts right now. I kind of want to put Khepri in S tier. I think Khepri is insane. You can engage right now on Khepri, use your full kit, and not be afraid of dying. You don't die. You don't take enough damage. You literally don't die. So all those people who are weaker Khepri players and don't really understand how much damage they're going to take, they aren't worried anymore. They go in, they do their shit, and then they back up till the abilities back up. When they're backing up, pretty easy to get a free ult off because everyone's tankier. No one's dying as fast. So landing that ultimate is nowhere near as difficult as it was. Plus your laning phase is solid. You can control the wave. You can push the wave down as long as you have a decent clearing god as your hunter. So Khepri is kind of beast right now. Plus a resetting and, you know, spawning back into a team fight. You can get back into that team fight really easily when you're not at full health just because you feel and you notice that you're tankier. You played against a Khepri mid? That's disgusting. Don't do that. All right. King Arthur right now is not bad. In current patch, I'd put King Arthur in A. See King Arthur picked a lot in ranked and casuals. Do not think he's anywhere near as bad as some of the other warriors, and he's not dead like everyone wanted warriors to be. It's almost like they're specifically buffing King Arthur, though, in this patch coming up. Because of the Glad Shield, because of the breastplate going up. It just feels like you can kind of be hyper tanky, annoying King Arthur again, and not really have a huge downside. Plus, crit gods are not going to kill you. So I'll leave him at A tier, but I almost have the argument to put him up in S tier. Very interested in the next patch to see if it does affect everything the way I think it will. Alrighty. I'm going to put Kukulkan in A tier. It's one of the few mages that full clears the wave for free still. Pairs well with the stacking meta we're in, where in mid lane you kind of just sit there and stack and only rotate when it's necessary. And then if you are hitting your ult in the mid to late game, you are doing a lot of damage. And he's one of the few mages that in the way team fights go, when they get chaotic, if you're positioning correctly and you're around walls, you can get that ult to hit the hunters in the backline and you'll one-shot them. And if you're one-shotting a hunter in a team fight, especially a late game team fight, you pretty much win the game for your team. So that's something to note, something to think of. Kumba, I think Kumba's super low tier. I don't think he does anything. He needs to be buffed 90 times again. Similar to Kuzimbo, they exist. They can be slightly annoying. They exist. They are not strong. You'd have to have some specific reason you want to play them, and there really isn't one right now. Loki, I think Loki is still very good as an ability jungler. One of the better clearing junglers. Not quite as good as Hun Bats, but solid for clearing. So that really doesn't hurt Loki too much. And you can still one-shot with his kit in the early and mid because you can get on those hunters and kind of stick to them very easily. So Loki's fine. Wouldn't really lower him too much. I could see in the really low brackets him, you know, kind of dumpstering a lot of people. But I think he's all right in A tier. Medusa, I'm putting Medusa in S tier. I think for your average level of casual and ranked, Medusa is the best and easiest hunter to play. Easier than Izanami. You free clear while poking. And the people you're playing against are going to eat that 2 poke because they don't know any better. So you clear the way for free. And you poke, right? If you ever want to full commit, it's one of the few hunters where you literally get in their face to full commit and you can't miss autos. Versus every other hunter that wants distance. And then compare that to your average player who misses most autos, like maybe a 50%, you know, auto attack connect rate. It spikes if you hit that Medusa dash. So Medusa has good clear, has a CC immune ult, has that ultimate's actually pretty solid in most team fights nowadays. It just kind of makes people, you know, play around it, and then you've got people who turn around and kind of back off rather than just doing a quick turn, and then the slow comes into play. If you do it the stun, you get a free kill. Medusa's solid in that aspect. And then with the 1, you get 3 instant crits pretty much when you're full build, and people don't react to it. They don't react at all. They just kind of fall over. So I think Medusa's nuts. Mercury in the next patch. They're nerfing Deathbringer a little bit. So Mercury's essentially losing 5% bonus damage on his crits on Deathbringer. I don't think it matters at all. You can still get Mercury crits right now to crit in like a hunter or mage in the like 22 to 2600 damage range. If you're built fully, if you have red buff, if you have everything. So Mercury's still fine, and he's still going to pump because of Golden Blade. Merlin, I think Merlin's better than he was, but I don't think he's great. His clear is, you know, pretty solid. He's fairly safe. He's a little bit tankier. It is much easier to self-peel for yourself right now. So that's why I have Merlin in the A tier. I think Morgan Le Fay is still fine. Self-peel, once again, also way easier. It's just not as threatening to have somebody on top of you. You do not die as fast. And Morgan Le Fay still has a solid CC in the kit, has a good amount of damage, and can kind of full commit whenever she wants. Mulan, low tier. Someone said they've been farming on Mulan in their like bronze games or something the other day. I don't believe it. You're not doing anything in the solo lane. You're not beating hunters. You're not doing anything. It's not happening. Naja. This is one of the ones a little spicy. I'm pretty sure for, I don't know how long, I was saying Naja need to be reworked. For right now, I think Naja's going to go back to needing a rework. But for right now, they fixed the passive. They extended the passive. So your passive lasts a lot longer, right? So you can decide to use the heal later, or, you know, you can maintain those stacks going into a team fight way easier. If you're playing Naja right, you're kind of into a team fight, and then you back out for a little bit, waiting for your abilities to come back up, then you're back in, so that passive stays that whole time. On top of that, Naja's biggest problem was you would engage, and you would turn on, you would die. Way less hard, like way less common that happens now because you're tankier. So just with Humbats and those other gods, when you're in their face for that extended period of time, it's not as scary. That heal also becomes more relevant. You're tankier, you get off more of those heals in a team fight, you're gonna live. Plus, you just build auto attack crit. You play like an auto attack god, it's nuts. You don't need to build tanky, you don't need anything. You can play like an auto attack god because of that extended survival time and just pump. Neath, I think Neath is really good. Still playing for you, doing a little bit better in this meta because you can play Neath in multiple lanes while free clearing and still being a part of team fights, where a lot of people are not rotating very well right now. Rotations are still easy. It's just about getting to a point where you can clear your lane and then rotate. So as long as those gods are in the game, everyone should still be rotating. It just makes it easier for you on Neath. Nemesis, I think Nem is probably the top. I think Nemesis should be banned more than Bastet, more than Kleena right now. Golden Blade, Nemesis is free. You can still go auto attack with an ability build. You can go into a mainly ability build with just Golden Blade. You can go into a crit build. You can go to a full auto attack build. It plays for you because you're tankier and you have a shield. You kill anyone you want and you outtrade hunters right now because of your shield and your ultimate. Whether you're crit or auto attack build. So I think Nem is probably the best and easiest jungler to play. At lower levels, Baka's probably easier because people are idiots. But at mid-level of ranked and casuals and up, I think Nem is tip-top. Nike, I think Nike still sucks. I don't know why you would play Nike ever at all. Like 0. Nox as a support going up into A tier, performing way better. Just because mages don't die and because the team fights are prolonged, so you actually get more of those combos off. So you get more chances to burn beads or just catch people without their beads up. Nuwa, I think Nuwa's kind of mid. Your ult's okay because rotations are less common, but it's not that useful. You're easily dove. You're not really out trading hunters, and you're not that safe. You can use your tower. In the next patch, they're nerfing towers, so maybe you won't be able to use that as much. Odin. I think Odin is situational. If they have no leaps, no way out, and you need anti-heal, Odin. Otherwise, poop. Oleron. I think Oleron's S tier. I haven't played a lot of Oleron, but Oleron in the mid lane, I think, is free. You get to play crit, which is nice. So you actually have the potential to trade into a lot of these crit gods, right? You have the fights that are way more spaced out. So your ultimate's up for most team fights. That's good for Oleron. Plus your tankier, very difficult to dive you anywhere and makes you just safer in general. Seen it played in the SPL, I think, a little bit, like today and maybe the day before. Oleron solid. Osiris, I think people are overthinking Osiris. I don't think he's very good because once you hit late game, you will never out trade anybody who's full damage. So your early game, you're probably really good and really annoying and you seem great. Your mid game, if you get a snowball going, probably okay. Still a little scary to overdive. And then late game when you're diving, you're just going to die. Pele, I think Pele is okay because you still have the knock-up. Not playing great in this meta because you're not using Golden Blade or there's nothing really making you better in this meta. Still just a solid pick. Persephone, I've seen Persephone doing decent. I think it's just because early game you can put so many flowers out and get the clear going. But I don't think Persephone's that good. It's still very difficult to play. I think she's solid. I said not that good. She's good. She's not great. She's not a tippy top pick. She's more of, I need magic damage in the mid lane, and you know how to play her, so you pick her. Paul was on Ola today and shit on Leviathans with his ults. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier to use the older run ults right now because you're not as scared of being one-shot. Poseidon. I think Poseidon for casuals and ranked is the easiest mage to play because you full clear. Just because of that. You full clear, you rotate, you go ult in a side lane. Literally do that on cooldown and you'll play like a second jungler in a meta where you don't really see that a lot right now. So I like Poseidon in this meta. A lot. A lot. Wait, I put Pele. What? Pele is not S tier. In what world is Pele S tier? Pele literally got nothing in this patch. In the patch notes, Aggro said he thought Pele would do better. The devs are just guesstimating, and they're devs. They have a lot of knowledge on the background numbers and stuff in the game. They don't know what's gonna play well. They don't play the gods at the highest level. Pele's solid, but not that good. Doesn't do anything crazy. Just has a regular knockup. Still can die. Still gets two-shot by hunters. Ra is doing better. Sustain in a team fight is solid. The ultimates still hit very hard, and you clear the wave fairly safely and kind of easily. A little bit behind Poseidon in terms of easy clear and easy pressure, but still up there. I like Ra better just because of your objective play. You can kind of pull and not be as worried about pulling a gold or whatever, because of that heal. Raijin, I think Raijin's a little bit lower tier. I don't think he's bad by any means, but I don't know why you would play him over many of these other gods. He doesn't clear better. He doesn't rotate better. He doesn't team fight better. He's kind of like a weak version of Baba Yaga almost. Rama, solid hunter. Hunters are OP. Yada yada yada. Crit solid. Very good. There's really nothing going wrong with Rama outside of these other hunters just do the extended fight trades way better than Rama in my opinion. Where Rama was good when you needed a couple of quick autos and then the dive ultimate, you use the ultimate to help your junglers dive in the backline. I feel like that's less common right now. I could see the argument in the S tier and I really wouldn't, go too deep into it. I'd allow for Rama to be S tier, but I think A tier suits him better. Rat, I think Rat's bad. I haven't seen anyone do anything with it. People are trying to say crit Rat. No, there's nothing that makes crit Rat better. If you are using your one with crit Rat, which is how you play crit Rat, and you go in, you insta-die. You dash, you crit him, it looks pretty, and then you die. That's it. That's all there is to it. A lot of people are saying Rama fell down like really low tier, and I strongly disagree. I think Rama is weaker because he does not clear as well. But his team fights are still solid. His builds are still really, really good, and he still has the ability to dive hunters when most of the ability junglers cannot do that in the late game. I still like Ravana a lot. I just think your early and mid game are weaker, and it makes it harder to play for your average jungler. Scylla. I think Scylla's poop right now, which sucks. Maybe not poop. I'm not going to over-exaggerate. I'm going to go down to situational, though. Scylla doesn't clear. Scylla has one lane clearing ability, and it doesn't clear. It takes forever before Scylla can clear and rotate. So the whole game, you will literally be playing catch up the whole match. It'll be impossible for you to do anything, and you'll feel stuck in the mid lane. Scylla is my favorite mage, so this sucks. But I do not think Scylla is good. I don't know what they could do to make Scylla, something that you should be prio playing, in my opinion. But I would not play it if I were you. Serket. I think Serket is great. Not quite S tier. She's doing infinitely better, though. She doesn't die as fast, so she can get into the middle of the team fight and kind of trade and get her abilities off and not insta-die. Crit is working, so, you're living longer. You also are able to go crit Serket, which catches people hyper off guard, and you can snowball carry with that, which Serket has not been able to do for a very long time, like since season 2, 3 of Smite. That's back a little bit. If you aren't super far ahead, though, engagements and team fights can get very, very difficult for you to play. So I'd say she's definitely a much higher skill god than almost any other assassin. That's why she's in A tier. If her kit was easier to, apply and do without dying, I'd maybe argue S tier. But with the crit changes coming and everything else, I think A tier is going to sit perfectly. Plus, someone did mention, they're like, my teammates build anti-heal. A lot of people don't build anti-heal. Serket has it built into the kit, 100% in the ultimate. So free. GG. I'm not putting Set in S tier. I do not think he's S tier in ranked and casuals. He's played a little bit in competitive. He's very good right now, whether you want to play him in solo or in the jungle, because fights are longer. So the sustain in his kit is better. He's able to get more damage out because if the fight's longer and he's living longer, he can get more twos down, which is great. But he's not quite doing what he needs to do because he has no CC. No hard CC. Yes, he has physical mitigation. He takes less physical damage. So he can jump onto the hunters. They can still kill him. You still die so fast when you're deep diving on Set. So if you're diving and you have a team comp that allows for it, you're kind of going to feel really good. If you don't, you're kind of going to feel really bad. That's why I'm leaving him in this like good pick, but you need to be very aware of what's going on. Shiva's kind of fallen like a lot. He doesn't do anything. I think he's probably best in support right now. With the changes, though, with Glad getting buffed, they're buffing Glad Shield, Breastplate, and what else? They're buffing one other thing, right? Do you guys know what it is? I can't remember what it is. Oh, they're buffing Spectral. That might... Oh, and Blackthorn. Those things are all items you could build on Shiva. And you probably will build on Shiva. So the next patch, you might see him played a lot more. He might jump up to A. He might skyrocket. I doubt S. I would 1% chance of him jumping up here unless there's something we don't know about that's changing. A tier is more likely if Warriors are being played in the lane again. But right now, doo-doo. Putting him in a B+. Very... honestly, I'm putting him in a B tier. I don't even think B+ is fair. Because you don't even want to play him in the support role. I'd rather have Achilles in the support role because if I want to damage support, I want that execute. I'm putting him down in the B tier right now, which is more so the meta and less of the god. Just Warriors doing what they're doing. Scotty is doing better because Hunters are doing better. So I'm going to leave Scotty in A tier. Still very risky pick and a little bit more difficult to get away with because you don't have CC immunity and you're easily dove. Sobek. I think Sobek is a fine support right now. Maybe underrated almost. His laning phase is fine. His team fight setups are great and he doesn't die. So it's going to leave him in the A tier. Soul. I think Soul is great right now. I'm going to put Soul into S tier. But it's more of you want free clear and free pressure and you don't want to play a Hunter. I would recommend just playing a Hunter, but Soul does the same job without crit in a lot of lanes and is fairly safe. So I'm okay with Soul being an S tier, especially over all these picks. I'd much rather you play Soul over Freya. Sun Wukong, I don't think Sun Wukong is that good. Hyper average pick right now. He can clear the lane semi-decently, but he doesn't really do anything or bring anything to the team fights. I think Susano is the best ability jungler for pure team fights. Hunbats rivals it a little bit, but Hunbats is an S tier because of the clear comparison, because you can always clear and have these great team fights. Susano's team fights are absolutely cracked right now. The disruption you have is kind of unmatched for assassins. Your mass AoE from all of your abilities, and people are standing very grouped up because you're seeing a lot of hunters. They're wanting to stay around each other, and that disruption time allows you to kill a hunter before they crit kill you. So I like Susano right now. Sylvanas, decent for lane clear and okay for team fights. You don't die as fast, so when you're out of position, you don't get punished as hard, but I do not think he's as good or as easy to play as some of the other Guardians that are in the game. Terra, I think Terra is low tier, very situational. If you're looking to hard dive, which would be very difficult to get away with in this meta, Terra maybe, but outside of that, I wouldn't. I think Thanatos is dog. I'm gonna leave him in situational, but with all the changes, he does not trade well at all currently. If you 1v1 right now as a jungler versus jungler, let's say you're level 2 and you meet at mid camps, Thanatos used to be scary, like hard, he's going to beat you. That doesn't happen anymore. I'll just sit there and trade him on everybody. His 1 doesn't hit hard enough. You don't have your 2 leveled. The execute is solid, but why would you play an execute god that's all he does? He just doesn't bring anything. You're talking about Thanatos, who is weak late game, is now weak in the early game. I do not like Thanatos right now. Thanatos is one of my favorite kind of, snowball and just kind of go get a 20, 30 kills god. He's not doing that right now, in my opinion. Morgan, B+ tier, average pick. Decent lane clear, but against a hunter, especially any hunters that can kind of be in your face, you're not going to win those trades. Do not recommend a lot of the Morgan. Plus, the Morgan is usually more in meta when she can get into the backline, one tap somebody, swap to a warrior, and be super tanky. There aren't warriors in the game right now. You're not going to dive and swap into a hunter because then you're just going to die yourself. So a lot less Morgan right now. Don't think she's terrible. Don't think she's that good. Maybe if hunters fall down a little bit, we'll see her picked up because then she will compete with some of these mages with clear. Thor, I think Thor is very, very average. Falls off hyper late game. Has a solid mid and kind of early game now. Less because of the fighting, more because of the CC. I think Thoth is still very good. Same play style as before. Doesn't do quite as much damage, but still has that consistent poke damage. And if fights are very, very long, Thoth will get off his 1, 3, 4 total times. Not mini cast, like 3, 4 total casts in a long team fight. Not many mages are doing that right now. I still think Tiamat is nuts because you're diving and you're tanky in a tankier meta. You don't die. Tsukiyomi, I think Tsukiyomi is average. I'd rather see him in the solo lane than anywhere else. I do not think he's that good of a jungler in the solo lane. I think he's fine because he has clear. He can dive into the backline very easily, and he can do damage to hunters without taking any damage in return for that little bit of period of time to the ultimate, which is super valuable. Tier, I think tier is, I guess I'll say average. I almost want to say situational because warriors are kind of situational, but I think tier is all right. He sustains. He can still be annoying in CC, just doesn't do quite as much damage. I think is one of the top, probably the top ability hunter, like pure ability hunter. AMC is going to rival that a little bit because you can build AMC, ability, same with Chiron. Though, played in all 3 roles. Very, very tanky. I don't think anything's changed. I'm pretty sure is the tankiest. Is the tankiest hunter in the game? Or, it's right. I think is the tankiest hunter in the game, right? So you can kind of just sit there and trade. Anheim, okay. So you can kind of sit there and just hard trade because you're just so much tankier right now. It's noticeable. It was noticeable before because of how tanky you were compared to the hunters. Now you're just tanky all the time in general, period. And you can feel it. So you can kind of jump in, get in their face, spam your abilities multiple times and not be worried about being turned on. And you have clear while poking, which is pretty rare. Vamana is dog, C tier. It's Vamana. You eat an Ankh and you die. Nemesis is in meta. You eat a Nemo and you die. You just die. That's it. That's all there is to it. I don't think Vulcan is terrible right now. I'm going to leave him an average pick, but in ranked and casuals, I almost want to put him in an A tier because your clear is there while poking. And you're one of the only mages that clears and pokes super, super well in a meta where clearing takes forever. Shibalake, I think Shibalake is all right. I don't know if I'd say very good. I'd say an average pick. Doesn't do anything better than everybody else. Kind of like on Artemis level in my eyes. Like play these other hunters that are way stronger. Xing 10, I think Xing 10 is very good as a support. You're never dying. You can be as annoying as you want. You kind of counter hunters. I won't say like true counter, but you're annoying, even more annoying for hunters. So I like Xing 10. Yamoja, I think Yamoja is still situational. Too hard for most people to play. Better in this meta than she was for people that don't know how to play her very well, but she's just too difficult for people to play right. Nobody lands their CCs. Nobody positions correctly. Sometimes you get the people that use their ult right, but that's kind of rare. I'm leaving Emoja in B tier mainly based off of the average level of play, but a little bit more so because the kit is actually, I don't want to say higher skill, but higher knowledge. Ymir, I think Ymir is kind of situational as well. While yes, you're tankier, so being an immobile guardian isn't the end of the world. The people you're going on are also tankier. So Ymir used to actually trade into some gods, especially if you were a Ymir in the support role that had levels, and you had the Jimmy Scepter. The Jimmy Scepter is gone. The levels don't happen because it takes a lot longer for you to farm, and you're not out trading anybody. So Ymir's gonna fall down for me. Yu Huang is the worst god of the game. Period. Literally, though, I have not seen this god in a single game since the patch hit. He is the worst god in Smite. By far. Absolutely. And if you need a reason, you have an ultimate that you have to pre-set up. It does not instacast. Has a small path even when the passive is stacked. And it does not hit hard. So I essentially just told you it's a mage with a dog shit ultimate. Okay? Right there. Then you have a root that takes a second to land and can be reacted to. So you're not guaranteed to land a root even when you land the first part of your ability, which is stupid. Your dash or leap, whatever you want to call it, is the best part of the kit, but you can be crippled. And if you're crippled, you can't cast it. It's a CC immune leap that can't go CC immune if you're crippled. That's stupid. It makes no sense. And then his 2 is potentially the best part of his kit, but it's low damage. It's easier to hit. I'm pretty sure it shreds pen, but it doesn't do anything. It hits for half the damage of the 1. Yu Wang there's no part of his kit that is better than anything. Like, if you did a versus, right? We did a Chunga versus a Yu Wang kits, right? Chunga's is better. Tell me it's not. Tell me Chunga's kit is not better than Yu Wang's. Please explain to me. I'd love to hear it. Yu Wang also doesn't clear the wave. So how is Chunga not a better Yu Wang? And then I'm putting them in the same tier. Chunga has a CC immunity that can be used whenever, right? You can be crippled and still use it. Yu Wang can't use his. Chunga has a ranged, big damage stun ult. Yu Wang's ultimate, you have to pick where you want it, and then maybe if the other person's a fucking idiot, they'll get pushed. So the ults don't compete. You could argue the 3s. I'd probably rather have Yu Wang's 2, whatever, than Chunga's, smaller damaging ability, the heal. And then the 1 is a guaranteed damage you can land unless you're a potato. The 1 on Yu Wang, you're not going to control. If the person's moving, you're not landing it. It's not happening. All right, Zeus, gonna be situational. He's clear is solid, but everything else is kind of doo-doo. Gets dough very, very easily right now. And then Zhong Kui, I think Zhong Kui's good. I like Zhong Kui in the mid lane. You can still go tanky. The stacking meta kind of favors you where you get tanky and you're kind of just chilling. And I'm thinking as a mid laner, maybe as a solo, mainly as a mid laner. And if you are kind of just playing at your own pace, you're going to be just fine going to the team fights. You can get into team fights fairly easily without getting insta-killed. So that is my tier list. 9.5 tier list. Right there. I am interested in the ones that you guys would argue with. Like, you guys truly... I'm not talking like... Look, this is going to go for YouTube and for Twitch. If you guys are like, well, I think Sylvanas should be S+ or S tier because I love Sylvanas. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, you think Thanatos is A tier or S tier because of why. Not you had a good game. I've seen your all's games. You guys say you have good games, and then I look at your past 6 games on one god, and you have one game where you went like 10-2, and the rest are like 2-8. So I know that's not the reason. Give me real reasons. I'm interested, but I need real reasons. And I don't want one swap. I don't think Sarkat should be B+. That's great. It's one movement. I don't care about that. I care about the big jumps, the 2 jumps. Tell me about those, please. And if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you're here on Twitch, you should already subscribe. If you don't, smell my balls.